who's behind the mask.
Hey, my name's Buck O'Brien. You don't know me, but welcome to Backstrokes, where we stroke each other's back. I mean, we stroke you off. We take a backstroke back on where we look back on every Adult Swim show from beginning to end, in no particular order. So welcome to Beef House, premiering March in 2020. Now, you probably haven't heard of it. I didn't hear of it till I watched it, but it's where the wheel landed. We gotta watch it. Now, I think we lucked out, having it be so recent, and only 6 episodes, so short, which is gonna be a blessing for what I know is coming. I can hear him. It's a parody of family sitcoms like Full House, Home Improvement, and I don't know, the Addams Family? I can't think of a lot of family sitcoms right now. Beef House was created by and starring the 2 human bath salts, Tim Heidecker and Eric Wareheim. I think I said that right. Their status among Adult Swim recently goes without saying. Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job. Check it out with Dr. Steve Brule, Tom Goes to the Mayor, Bedtime Stories. No, that's an Adam Sandler movie. Which one am I thinking of? It says a lot that they're just credited as Tim and Eric in a lot of these projects. They're a really good duo together, and they're quintessential for Adult Swim. Now, because I know the creators made other shows previous to this, much like our second show we're going to be talking about, I'm not going to go too into their backstories and history right now. I'll save that for a later time. You'll see what I mean. The show is about Eric living with his wife Megan, a police officer. Their marriage is rocky and they're growing pretty distant. There's no time to talk about that because they also have 4 strange middle-aged men living in their beef home. You got Tim, his best friend, Ron, old guy with a potty mouth, Ben-Hur, old man with a sexy potty mouth.
These nasty shits got a load of sperm from my wet dreams.
And Tennessee Luke, he's a lot. So why do they all live in one beef house? No, I'm asking you, why do they all live together? I still don't really get it. This might surprise you, but Tim and Eric went out of their way to make this a very weird setup. Really shocking coming from them, I know, but I wasn't initially sure what the joke was. Was it a gay joke? Probably not. Was it just to be strange? Yeah, probably. Almost definitely. They actually feel that the lack of explanation is reflective of the genre as a whole. When asked about sitcoms, Tim Heidecker said, "You never thought too closely about what these people did outside of those walls. It was always about what happened in that space." Like in Full House, sure, they explain why all these people and characters are living in this one oddly massive house, but you don't really consider it past the initial setup. It's just about the weekly problems created by the writers. Danny Tanner has a perk addiction, but DJ's prom is tomorrow, so he better cut it out. And this show has a pretty good understanding of those sitcoms. A surprising amount of thought and care went into these 6 episodes. It's a really small project. They actually grabbed the same type of cameras they used on Fuller House, the Full House reboot that I only just reminded you exists. They wanted to get these cameras to catch all of the HD grossness. That's their words, not mine. They know that they're not a John Stamos or Bob Saget. They know they're not the best looking guys. So they wanted to be able to make sure they got all that in gross detail. On replicating the style, Eric Wareheim said, "It looks and feels so much like what's going on out there. I feel like that was a challenge for us to see if we could get that close to the insanity that is an actual sitcom." The sets look like a genuine sitcom home. The lighting matches perfectly, and they have dialogue and conflicts that could be plucked right out of any 2000 sitcom. Minus, the shit tube and various other oddities, but I'll talk about it later. You'll hear what I mean. They do the stupid, we'll add a young new character to liven up the cast, and then just immediately drop it, like most sitcoms do. The whole idea came from Tim being in quarantine in 2020 and watching modern sitcoms and thinking,
That's just... Oh god, it's awful.
And found them genuinely hard to sit through. While they are aware this isn't a new observation, I think their approach to the idea was. Their motto while creating it was a sitcom, but funny. And of course, with Tim and Eric, the humor is pretty, I feel like when most adult networks try to satirize the family sitcom formula, it goes hard dark. Like people dying and just general cheap shock value. Now, Beef House's humor is layered amongst the tropes of a sitcom, rather than just being dark for dark's sake and, you know, in your face with it. It's layered in pretty well, like you've got completely random and sudden deep moments for the audience to aww at. Every episode ends with a group hug and remembering that, you know, family matters. Ah, shit, that's another family sitcom. You got dialogue that reeks of stuffy old men trying to be hip in the writer's room.
Bullseye Dab Edition.
He has been acting aggro AF.
WTF, is there a bear upstairs?
And the focus is just the problem of the week that the Beef Boys gotta figure out. And while these problems are stereotypical in like the initial setup, it's just the top layer that gets peeled back suddenly for like genuine horror. If you like Tim and Eric Awesome Show, great job, you'll like this probably. The plotline for episode 2 directly reminded me of one of my favorite sketches from that show actually. The jokes outside of sitcom bad are wildly outlandish in the way that they break expectation. And at first, I didn't really vibe with it or get it, but now I'm unironically calling Rob Zombie Robbie Zombie exclusively. That's not to say it's devoid of shock humor. There are a lot of moments of people swearing excessively and like, you know, that's the joke. But I think it's a healthy amount of black comedy that doesn't overpower or overstay its welcome. Like one scene you'll have just way too long extended bits of different characters' reactions. But then we're really talking about Tim's pill addiction and how it's really affecting him and like his voice is dropping and he's having like rage effects. It's a weird balance that maybe didn't grab me so well at first. Like, for instance, I thought the show was going to be a dud from the first episode. Tim's old army buddy comes back to move into the Beef House, causing waves and ripples throughout. Once the Beef Boys decide they gotta get rid of him, they convince him to leave by telling him a war just started, and he needs to be deployed again. Now that sounds fairly simple for a sitcom, minus, you know, the last bit, the scheme a little bit. But I can easily see the first half of that setup being a genuine plotline in a regular sitcom. But the way they do it is by triggering the poor guy's PTSD, making the house shake with mortar fire and sound effects that he just starts breaking down and standing up. It's so fucking dark, but it's treated as like a scampy little romp to hug about later. It's so weird. You've got these really stereotypical sitcom scenarios solved by fever dream ideas and treated as normal at the end of the day. And I mean, what else would you expect from Tim and Eric? One of my favorite jokes is a throwaway where this kid stabs Tim and Eric throws the kid to Ron and just says, "Take more to your cage." Like it's just a known fact that Ron has a cage in his room and they just accept it. So by now, I hope you have a good grasp of what the show is, but what about the purpose of this video series? Like, what about our questions? How does this fit into Adult Swim? Well, the humor is spot on. Not shocking at all coming from what you could call the two founding fathers of Adult Swim style. More importantly, I want to bring up this one quote from Tim Heidecker. Listen, we all know family sitcoms are a pretty big target. It's not the hardest thing to do, so from the beginning we said Beef House can't just be a joke about how sitcoms are bad. That can't be the only reason to do this show. You look at some sitcoms, you could call them sitcoms like Curb Your Enthusiasm, or It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, or Seinfeld. And those are examples where they were able to tell a situational story based on the same group of people in a way that was original and inventive and funny. So we're like, can we do both those things? Parody, family sitcom, put it in that style, but also do it where we're not just telling bad jokes. We're telling jokes that make us laugh, that make our audience laugh. And that's it. That's the last line right there. That's the crux of this show for me. Because I'm going to be honest, past the gate a little bit. I was going to say out of the gate, but we're well into the video now. I'm not a huge fan of the show itself. It's passable. You know, I'm happy I watched it, but I'm not foaming at the mouth for more episodes or going to tell you to buy the first season on YouTube or Amazon or Blu-ray or fucking Vudu or something. But goddamn, I can't ignore the drive behind it. Tim and Eric seem oddly passionate about it in interviews and have a lot of energy for a season 2, which I can't tell is planned anymore. It was at one point. That's really commendable. And that last quote is even more commendable. That's the stance I take with making my videos. I want to make videos I would enjoy watching and about things that I'm passionate about. It might not be what you're expecting, but Tim and Eric are proud of it, despite what I or anyone else has to say. And I feel the same about my videos. But that could just be me being nice because it's the first show on my series. I'm sure this stance won't carry to every single show I watch. Regardless, if you don't care about my opinions or thoughts, and you just want some sort of arbitrary ranking for the show, I'd give it like a 3 or a 5, 6 or a 7 out of 10. A funny joke your dad tells at Thanksgiving. It's good. It's fun to sit through once in a while, but I'm not sure it's worth revisiting over and over again. It comes off as like a segment of Tim and Eric Awesome Show, Great Job, kind of grew legs and ran off on its own, but instead of like a minute, it's 10 minutes. And, you know, with Tim and Eric, if you put them on your TV, you're always going to have good times. Ah, that's another one. I gotta do more research.